Thank you. Thank you. Hi, I'm Kris Vallotton. I'm the author of the book, The School of the Prophets, and I want to welcome you to Session 1. And so in Session 1, Discovering Your Divine Call. And I wrote this book so that we could learn how to develop prophetic communities. And so I want to kind of begin with my story, and that's kind of a weird, odd story. But many years ago, we lived in a town called Weaverville. Weaverville, just think of that, Weaverville. You can't even sound like you have an education when you're from Weaverville, you know? And I had an auto repair shop in a service station at the time, and it was kind of my custom. I'd come home at night, and we had 3 little kids at the time, and Kathy would be cooking dinner, and she'd always have my bath water ready. That's a good wife right there. He who finds a good wife finds favor with God. And a warm bathtub. And I would go in the bathtub for years and years, sit in the bathtub and read my Bible and pray for 1 hour while she cooked dinner and we got ready for the meal. And so I was just doing that, and I had been doing that for years. And so just laying in the bathtub, just reading my Bible. Nothing extraordinary. I never had an extraordinary experience. Like, here we have an audience of people who maybe there's some prophets here and prophetic people. And, I hear some people's stories and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I have like 4 of those experiences and I tell them over and over and over. So it sounds like I have them daily, And so I'm there and I'm reading, and suddenly I have this experience, and I look up, I kind of hear this noise, and I look up, and Jesus walks through the wall and into the bathroom, and he's standing next to me, and he's staring at me, and he begins to talk to me about my future. I guess you shouldn't be shocked when you're praying and Jesus shows up, I think that's what's supposed to happen, Wow, what are you doing here? You were praying. Oh, you've never come in here before. Never saw this before. So I'm in the bathtub, and he begins to tell me about my future. And some of the things I probably at least will never share till maybe the end of my life. But and he starts telling me about the fact that he's called me. And, you have to just put yourself in my shoes. I was 1 year out of a 3.5-year nervous breakdown. We owned a business. We were youth pastors in a church of about 100 at the time, and as something we did on the side. And Jesus begins to tell me things like, one of the things he said to me, he said, I've called you to be a prophet to the nations. And you're going to travel the world, and you're going to speak to kings and presidents and mayors and governors and prime ministers and queens. And I'm going to take you all over the world, and you're going to guide nations through the prophetic wisdom that I give you. Now, by this time, I'm in a puddle. I'm like, first of all, I'm afraid of flying. At the time, I've been on a plane 1 time, and it didn't go well. So, I don't know how I'm going to get to the nations, much less, I've never been past high school, and I got through high school because of metal shop, wood shop, and auto shop. So I'm not sure I have much to say to a king. I'm not sure what I would do when I got in their presence. But, it's not good to argue with the Lord. I've learned that through reading the Bible. And the Lord begins to talk to me about this stuff. Now, it goes on for a half an hour. This is a long experience. And I see the Lord with my eyes, so it's evidently an open vision. And at the end of this long conversation, he stops and he turns to leave the room, and I'm just stunned. I'm just stunned. I'm like in shock. My mind is, you probably can imagine, I can't even imagine the things the Lord's talking to me about. And he stops, and he looks back at me, and he looks right into my eyes, and he points to me, and he said, and history will tell us if you believe me.